Wow, as I'm literally getting ready to go cut the grass outside, they dropped this bomb on us. A quick little teaser of Nod-Krai, so I thought I'd make a quick little video recapping it, going over it, and just discussing some of the Easter eggs they just left us, because this is the first time we're actually getting a glimpse of some of the characters we've known for so long now, for years. So let's just break down all the teasers, have a general discussion about it, and just be hyped because Nod-Krai is coming very soon and I cannot freaking wait. In the last Moon Sister trailer, we were teased all of these factions. The first being teased is Nod-Krai, which I gotta say also, right off the hop, visually this place looks stunning. The Wild Hunt is a term used to reference the Abyss in Snezhnaya, since Nod-Krai itself was the first area affected by the cataclysm after Khaenri'ah. The abyssal forces that exist there are extraordinarily powerful, more so than we've seen. Essentially, they'll be the main monsters and villain group that plagues Nod-Krai. Next, it teases the Frostmoon Scions. This faction worships the moon goddesses and has abandoned their ancient golden civilization. We also know a golden civilization was teased in an artifact set in 5.5 talking about the second descender, this mysterious outlander. So the question obviously begs to be asked if this is related. The people that abandoned their golden civilization then found new homes among the mountains and forests in Nod-Krai. The priestesses of the Frostmoon Scions were involved in banishing the Wild Hunt in ancient times, and helping establish the Lightkeepers. The Lightkeepers are a faction within Nod-Krai that has long defended it from the Wild Hunt attacks. So essentially a group dedicated to defending against the Abyss. This faction is at least 500 years old because they even fought during the Cataclysm, but as time passed on, they became severely weakened due to previous battles. So this faction is more than likely not even close to what it was back in its heyday. I'm sure there's going to be many side quests within Nod-Krai that are going to all be absolute bangers, all of which are probably going to associate with all of these factions, while the main meat and potatoes of the main Archon quest will focus on, you know, the Hegson Circle, the Knights of Favonius, Varka, who we got to see, obviously the Fatui Harbingers, their Project Stuja. The next group it teases is the Snowland Fae. This is a long-life species native to Snezhnaya that followed the first Cryo-Archon, and they ruled over the Northlands. Despite having lost most of their former glory, they still possess a heavy influence over Nod-Krai. It should also be noted too that a Fae in most medias is usually referred to as an elf or elven-like being. And we know there's a lot of elven-like beings that are unexplained within Genshin, most notably Alice and Klee. And because the Hegson Circle are going to have such a huge role now, it almost begs the question if at least some of their members are Snowland Fae descendants. But we'll talk more about that in a second. I'm so excited to learn about the original Cryo-Archon. It's said that he was a male, and we know that the Tsaritsa now is a female with no love left for her people. It would certainly seem that the Tsaritsa had her heart broken. I'm wondering if she was in love with the first Cryo-Archon, and then succeeded the first Archon when something bad happened. I am very intrigued to learn how they transitioned into their new Archon, because in every single nation we've went to that doesn't have its original Archon, there has always been a unique relationship between the current Archon and the original. Obviously besides Venti and Zhongli, the Raiden twins, Ruka Devada, and then Nahida being cultivated from the purest branch of Irminsul, Agiria created from the Shade of Life, Nabarius, creating the Oceanids and then giving them humanity, and then the most exceptional of them, Focalor, inheriting a prophecy. We know the relationship between all the Pyro Archons, humans that become worthy of that title, ever since the first one, Xbalanque. It would be so fitting if you had two Archons, they were in a relationship, the god of love. I am very excited and intrigued to learn the lore and the history of the Cryo-Archons. Next is obviously the Fatui Harbingers and Dottore, who we all saw this coming from a mile away. The guy has already been practicing with making a man-made god in Sumeru with Scaramouche, collecting all the Gnosis, and now trying to harness the powers of the moon. The Fatui's entire goal is to overthrow and seize authority from the gods, so it's a no-brainer what the Dottore is doing in Nod-Krai and what he more than likely intends to do with all the Gnosis. But interestingly enough, the Fatui Harbingers have not collected the last Gnosis, the Pyronosis from Varka. Since Dottore is working diligently in Nod-Krai, it makes the most logical sense to me to send Columbina, the little dove. Since Varka's entire shtick is being a human Archon with human emotions, passion, drive, glory, but also has family and friends like any other human, just with Archon level powers, we already got a glimpse of what it looked like to see the first and strongest Harbinger go toe-to-toe. Claiming the Pyronosis, Varka did not seem like she was willing to just give up her Gnosis. The captain tried to earn it by sheer force, but it did not work. So beating her in a battle of brute strength doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is a strong Harbinger that has very strong ties to the Seelies, the Angels, that can use more cynical powers of the mind, the emotions. Something that Columbina is very heavily linked to have. Both in her constellation, her name, the voice lines about her, it makes the most sense to go after Varka's humanity more than anything. Go after what she loves instead of trying to beat her by brute force to claim the Gnosis, because the Harbingers are not going to just stop with one left. So I'm very curious to see how they go about this. That is my prediction on it, or how I feel they should, but nevertheless, it's going to have to go down sooner rather than later, because Nod-Krai's creeping up. The next one they tease is a big one. The Mondstadt Expeditionary Force, and Varka himself. We finally get to see Varka, for God's sakes, it's been so long. There is a very good chance he's playable, since, well, he would sell well and they're all about making money, and 2, we haven't had a 5-star Mondstadt character in some time. Now's the perfect chance. It's right in front of you. Whatever's going down in Nod-Krai, it's going to be big. Varka's been a Grandmaster that's been away from his hometown and homeland for some time now. He would not do this unless it was absolutely necessary, although he left it in good hands with Jean. The fact that Alice and the Hegson Circle are also here, though, probably means that now they have an ally in Varka, since the Hegson Circle, Varka, and Barbados are all bonded, they're connected, which obviously the last faction is the Hegson Circle and Alice, who we finally get a glimpse of as well. I was really unsure if we'd finally get to see Alice and Nod-Krai in the flesh. I did not want to get my hopes up, but now that they teased her, it makes sense that they would. And I mean, the game's been out long enough now. Alice is one of the most notorious characters in all of Teyvat, again with those elvish features. I cannot even exaggerate how excited I am to just dabble in the lore of Nod-Krai, the world quest, the main Archon quest. It's gonna be nuts. God, I don't think I'm gonna sleep for weeks when this drops. And then a little teaser at the end, this mysterious looking Seelie. This Seelie looks different from the ones we're used to. Remember what Seelies are. They are angels banished from Celestia, divine punishment from the heavenly principles for their failure in grooming humanity to live the way the heavenly principles wanted for Teyvat. But also her voice, we've heard this before.
Pour me another cup of tea, if you'd be so kind. The story is about to begin.
Call me N, a mage who wanders the world. At least, that's how my friends have suggested that I introduce myself.
This is in fact N, or Nicole. We had a conversation with her in Fontaine, one of the more cryptic conversations we had. We also talked with her briefly at the end of Sumeru's quest. It would not surprise me in the slightest that one of the Hegson Circle members is in fact an angel from old Celestia. It certainly seems like that's a possibility here. But at the same time, it could also be like Alice, where every time we've talked to her, she usually talks through something, a device, or her voice usually comes through an inanimate object of some sort. That could also be the case as well here with Nicole. It doesn't necessarily mean she's an angel. I just thought that was something worth noting. Overall, Nod-Krai is going to be an absolute banger. I cannot wait. I know originally a lot of people had mixed feelings about Nod-Krai being this whole chapter before the main Snezhnaya chapter, but I think this is the right way to go. We're probably going to meet a few new Harbingers here, maybe Sandrone, who is known to be a very diligent worker. It would make sense for Sandrone to also be helping Il Dottore. Either way, the possibilities are endless. The story in Genshin is finally starting to ramp up now, so we should be getting more of these mysterious characters revealed. Let me know how you're feeling about this trailer. Are you hyped for Nod-Krai? Are you still on the fence? Maybe underwhelmed for now? How do you see the Fatui Harbingers getting the Pyronosis? And how big of a role will the Hegzen Circle play in Nod-Krai? Let me know in the comments, but thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.